Hello friends, it's Chari. Today I have a sweet thank you card to share using lots of fun die cuts. So for this card, I wanted to use the new lemon vine border. I had not actually played with this one yet. It comes with lemons and flowers, and I've cut a whole bunch of those lemons and flowers right here. And I've cut 3 vines so far. I actually ended up using 4 vines, and I wanted to create a window. So I'm actually going to use the cutout window part of the Winter Wonderland window die. And then I decided to pull out the pink gingham from the Giddy for Gingham Petite paper pack. So I'm starting by cutting this piece down to 4¼ by 5½, so it is the size of my card front. Then I can line up my arched window here and run that through my die cut machine, and that's going to give me a window cutout that has a cute little dotted detail around the outside edge. And this is where my vines are going to shine through. I have a piece of mint cardstock, that's what's going to show through the window as well. And I just need to place my vines coming through that arched window. So I'm going to start over here on the left side. I knew I wanted that to be my longest vine. And what I actually did is put some dot runner on the back side so that I could kind of move these around a little bit until I get them where I wanted. So I like that long one there. I like those leaves kind of peeking out and overhanging that left edge. So I'm kind of adjusting it so those leaves overhang a little bit. Then I'm going to layer the second one on a little bit higher. I'm kind of looking at where those little dots are on the vines because that is where the lemons and the flowers go. Now I thought I might put this one over on the right side, but I really wanted this to look really full of vines. So actually what I did was I cut one more little piece from a scrap piece so I could have one more little short vine, and I added that here in the center. And then this little one that's kind of half of a vine, I'm going to put that over on the right side where those leaves can overlap that side of the window opening too. So I did need to add a little bit of adhesive on that side. I hadn't put any there yet. And I'll just have this one hanging out on the right. Once I have them where I want them, I'm just going to trim off those pieces that are sticking out the top. And now I have this full window. Now I am going to stamp a sentiment in that kind of empty space at the bottom that says, "Thanks for being so," and then I have that Scripty suite there to complete the sentiment. So what I need to do is put this in my stamping platform. This little vine came loose when I trimmed off the top, so I'm just putting that back in place. I'm lining everything up where it's going to go so that I can see what space I have for my stamped sentiment. And thanks for being so. The suite I'm going to mask off, but it's coming off the side, so I actually needed to shift this over a little bit so I had room for that stamp to kind of hang off the side of my card. So I'm lining this up right here in this sort of empty space that the vines create. I'll pick that up with the door of my MISTI and then remove all this stuff out of the way while I do my stamping. I will grab a Post-it note and mask off the word sweet because I don't want that to be stamped. And then I can ink up what's left with my black ink, remove the Post-it note. You can see the word sweet did not get any ink. And now I have the beginning of my sentiment stamped onto my background piece. And look how it fits in that window perfectly. And then I'll have room for the word sweet right below it. But the next thing I need to do is add all those lemons and those flowers that I die cut. So on the lemon vine border, there are those little circles. That's where you're going to add the lemons and the flowers. So I just went ahead and put a glue dot on every one of those circles. Then I can just work through with my pokey pickup tool and add my lemons and my flowers scattered around the vines. I cut my flowers from white cardstock. The lemons are cut from sticky note cardstock, and the center of the flowers are cut from sunflower. And I will add the centers once I get all my lemons and my flowers in place. And I just really love how this really filled in this window with these really beautiful vines when I added the lemons and the flowers to everything. I did end up adding one more flower at the end. You'll see me do that here in a minute, but first I'm going to add all my centers. So I went through and put another dot of glue in the center of all my flowers, and then I can add my flower centers, and you can see how this really comes to life. And I felt like it needed one more flower up here, so I'm just going to add one more flower right on the edge of that gingham paper. So now I'm ready to start assembling my card, and I am going to start by putting that piece of MISTI cardstock that has my sentiment stamped on it right onto my card base. But for my frame with all my lemons, I wanted this to be popped up off the background and have some fun dimension. So I put a lot of foam squares. You can see there is a foam square on the back of every lemon, on backs of some of the leaves, little pieces. I'm using my foam strips to make a frame around all four sides so that I can pop up this whole piece off of the background. Once I've removed all of those liner papers from the foam squares and the strips, I'm just going to line this up with the top corner and kind of lay it down in place, and then I will give it some pressure to press everything down. Now for my sentiment, I have a Scripty suite cut from Guava Cardstock and a stitched sentiment banner cut from blush cardstock. And I thought this was a good way to add this Scripty suite. Now originally I wanted to center it, but when I started playing with things, I really didn't want to cover up that vine that hangs down on the left side. So what I decided to do was to tuck my sentiment banner underneath so that that vine hangs over the sentiment banner, and then put my sentiment towards the right. So I added a little foam strip there, you can see, to support the top of my sentiment banner. You can see that vine is going to hang over on the left side. And then I will just add some liquid glue to the back of my Scripty suite and pop that right onto the sentiment banner. I'm also adding some liquid glue to the backs of the pieces that overhang so that they will be glued down to that sentiment banner as well. So here I'm just adding my glue, and then I'll line this up on the side, and I think that looks really cute, and it fits with that stamped part of the sentiment even better. Now I wanted just a little bit more, so I added some hearts. These are from the Hearts and Stars Skinny Tag Die. I cut these from raspberry cardstock, so they're a bit darker pink than my Scripty suite, but I think these were the perfect finishing touch to just add a little pop of color and fill in those empty spaces a little bit more. Then of course we need some glitter. For this card, I glittered the centers of the flowers, all of those little pink hearts, and I added just a little swipe of glitter on the top edge of all the lemons. And then this card is all finished. I think it turned out super sweet. I love the colors. They really give me some spring and summer vibes. I love that gingham with the window, and I also love how those vines really fill that space that the window created. Thank you so much for watching today. Have an amazing day. Bye.